What's up, John?
How's it going?
Doing good, and you?
Good. Well, I'm tired.
Are you tired?
I'm tired, yeah.
Is this because it's cold out, -2?
It's because you made me get up too early today.
I know. We got a kind of a busy day between podcast and work, and yeah.
Oh, well.
That's the way it goes.
Worse things happen.
That's true. That's true. Got a good buddy of ours, Casey Fairchild, today with us. Thanks for coming, Casey.
I'm happy to be here.
Been looking forward to doing this for a few months now, and I know I talked to you. Shoot, it's probably been 5-6 months. I talked to you about it.
Yeah, and we just talked like, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it. Yeah, I know. It's just, we took a kind of a little hiatus and kind of quit doing them. Just things going on and everything. But
hunting
we're back
going on.
What's that?
Hunting going on.
Yeah, a lot of hunting going on.
Priorities changed.
Yeah, they do. And you know what? We said that from the beginning. That might be what we're doing. But anyway, I got to know Casey. I know both of us have several years ago, which I think we met him through the archery world, maybe the archery shop or something. I know we saw some YouTube stuff. He used to have a YouTube channel, I know, and I know life's been so busy, kind of got a little bit away from that. But you grew up kind of close to here?
Yep, just in Buell. Kind of between Buell and Hagerman, way out in the sticks. Just kind of, just out there, staying out of the city as much as I can.
Right.
Don't blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you and your dad, you got a business, you're saying, right?
Yeah, like an equipment sales business. Yeah, that's probably the most vague and easiest way to categorize that without going into everything. But
because you do a little bit of everything.
Little bits of everything that we can make a dollar on. Yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And we thought that it would free us up to have more time to hunt, but our busy season is in September.
Is it really?
It is,
Oh,
because that's when harvest is.
Oh.
That's when everyone's trucks are breaking down.
Right.
And typically,
What the hell were you thinking?
I don't know. I keep trying to tell guys, maybe service and maintenance your trucks earlier in the year and don't wait until August 28th. Because they start calling us. I'm like, sorry, you're going to have to wait until October now.
Oh, geez.
It does crack me up. Even some people that are thinking of getting into hunting or have gotten into hunting, and then they decide, nothing wrong getting married. They decide to have their wedding in September, October, whatever. I'm like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, big no-no, big no-no. They like hunting so much, and they want to celebrate their marriage during their wedding at the same time of the year, in fall. And I'm like, no, don't do that. And same with having kids.
I know.
We planned for that. So,
right.
We're like, wait a minute. This thing's going to come around in September. We better wait a few months. And so both of my kids have been born in the spring, April and May. Well, April and May. Think about it for a minute.
Yeah, me
Good
too.
timing.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah, I don't know how much planning we did, but I have 5 kids and none of them are birthdays during the hunting season. So a couple in December and then spring. So worked out good.
You get that many, it's kind of hard to plan. And
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember thinking, we were talking before about having your own business, how you think you get a lot more time to hunt. And it seems like the last couple of years between you're building a house now, you have been the last couple of years. So
hopefully that's done soon. Yeah.
You getting to the end there?
Yeah, we've actually moved in already, but we're still tweaking a few things.
I know, I hate those little things that you kind of put off. Because you think, I'll get to it, and I hope you get them done. And not, otherwise, you're going to come home one day to a list.
I am a terrible procrastinator.
Are you?
Yeah. Nobody knows that but my wife. Nowadays, I'm reminded of it constantly. Because you get living in this nice house, and you're like, I can live with it how it is now, even though the bathroom tile's not done. So... Yeah, you get too comfortable, but we couldn't wait to get in there, so.
I know, that's the tough part. I sold my one house last year, or a little bit over a year, actually, something like that. I guess it was almost 2 years ago now. And I remodeled it and did a bunch of work in 2009. Mm-hmm. And when I went to sell it, I'm like, crap, I got to fix this, finish this and finish that before I can sell it. And I didn't realize how much stuff I had put off. Yeah. But they were just little things, like painting the door jambs or, something small like that. But we've been adamant about this new house we got. We completely remodeled it about not doing that. I still have John's tile saw because I have a few little tiles.
I was wondering where that was at.
Yeah. The backsplash, if you need it, I got it.
No, I'm teasing.
I literally got maybe about 10 little tiles to cut for the backsplash in the kitchen, and that's it. And of course, you can't do it during the winter. That's always my excuse then.
Yeah. And how many projects have you started since then, since you needed to cut those 10 tiles?
Do we even want to go there? Thanks, Casey.
It's so easy to start more, but it's just hard to finish them.
I know. I hope to, like one of the last things I did in my house was put in the old part, because I added on, is put windows, replaced all the windows. So some will need trimming out, and I don't want to say it's a winter product, because I actually, by this year, I want to have everything done. So nothing could be, I don't have a list when I get home. You need to do this before. Actually, Farrah's really good about not complaining, but still.
The last thing you want,
no, you don't want that stuff. Yeah. So get it done.
Yeah.
Casey, for yourself. So you can go out cutting.
I'll remember that. I got a few months anyways, but before you know it, it's going to be August.
I know.
And I won't have it done.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens to the best of us.
Another thing I remember, you had a kind of a smaller elk call company, right? How'd you get started with that? Like, what happened with that? Man,
I don't even know what drove me to start it, but obviously I love making and building things, but I don't know what motivated me to focus on elk calls. Maybe I just really wanted something that was my own that I made, some people make their own bows and they go out and hunt with them, but so I kind of want to do that with the calls, and I started doing some research on how to make like exceptional quality ones. And then I just went out and just bought all the junk, a lathe, like, we were talking, all the tools and everything. And I just kind of just jumped in with both feet. And before you knew it, I had something that I thought was pretty nice. And so then just started the company. And I ran with that for 2 years, it seemed like. I think from 17 to 19. And found another friend, and I thought he'd have really good talent for that. He was real musical and stuff, had a good ear for tones and things. And so he was interested in getting into the industry, and so I saw an opportunity and thought, hey man, I can get out of this and you can take it over, and it's working out pretty good for him too now.
Yeah, seems like it.
It was a great hobby and learning experience. And
you're too busy now anyway, huh? Can you imagine doing that too?
No, not at all. It used to be a fun thing, and then it got to be more of an obligation, and so that just kind of took the fun out of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, I got to go out there and finish 10 calls tonight. I just don't feel like doing it anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately, I talked you into, well, not really talked you into, you've been familiar with Wayne Carlton, Native by Carlton calls and stuff, so we brought you on the pro team there, and it's been fun. We got to do some stuff together.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that's opened up the door for a lot of things also. And I don't know if you remember, but there was that Utah elk hunt that I had.
That's right.
Year. And that, there was a whole lot of steps that led to me killing that bull, starting with me selling that company and getting out of that and going over with Native.
Huh.
And everyone I met in the chain following that, led me to that bull. It was the craziest thing how that worked out. So
it is amazing how, I think about, I've got some potential drawing some Utah tags too. And I've got numbers in my contact list of people I met years ago, just different events, that have said, hey, you draw this tag, or you ever want to know exactly where to put in, blah, 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 get a hold of me. So it's always nice to have, because the hunting world is it's not huge.
Right.
But there's always people out there willing to lend a helping hand,
Oh, yeah.
And which is appreciated. Yeah, you ended up killing a good bull.
Yeah, it was a great one. Yeah, I never actually had him officially scored, but he was probably a 330, 340 velvet bull, and
that was a cool thing, is a velvet.
That's what I was going down there trying to find, was a nice velvet bull, because it was an early one, and I couldn't believe how how where everyone's like, oh, non-residents, we all grumble when we see Utah and California plates in our spots and up here and stuff. But I was a non-resident down there in Utah.
How'd you feel about that?
It felt kind of strange. You're living on the other side at that point, and seeing what it's like, and I couldn't believe it. The guys down there just kind of took me right in, and they were so friendly, and they're like, I know this guy, and then I know this guy, and then we were up there scouting together, and they're like, oh, I seen my neighbors over here, and they seen these bulls over here, and before you knew it, we had these team of guys that were just all down there just helping out, spotting and just...
some of those limited tags, I know not everybody gets to... some of the states that are more controlled, let's say, than Idaho, let's just compare it to that. A lot of times when when they're really limited, and let's say there's 30 tags, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's so eager just to go hunting and excited to go hunting. So I think that mentality of, man, I want to see something fall, fall down, and so let's go help.
Yeah. Yeah, they just love being a part of it because, they don't get the tags that often.
Right.
They just want to be there doing it.
Right.
Know? And they just ask, just don't share our spots with anybody else, and we're happy to help you and take you there. And that's the least you can do is, keep their secrets. And I was really, I guess, surprised because we have our own perceptions of how non-residents are when they're here. And so I was very shocked at how...
kind of opened your eyes a little.
Yeah, of how supportive everyone is, when you're the non-resident out of state.
Yeah.
Because these guys were like, the OG guys down there that's been doing it for so many years, and they take a stranger right into their spots in their back, in their backyard.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. I spent the night with them and partied that night while their taxidermist was injecting the the velvet preservative.
Really?
Yeah, and so I couldn't believe it. It was just so cool how everything kind of worked out, and so it kind of showed
maybe because they know you probably won't get another tag for a lot of years.
Probably.
Right.
So it showed me how strong networking is and stuff. And what's funny is I only had like 2 points for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got called up on.
That's right. Was it a last minute thing?
It was a last minute.
Somebody turned one in?
I was a runner up, and so the guy turned a tag in. And while I was down there, I don't know if I told you, but I met the guy that turned his tag in. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy.
Really?
He told me when he turned his tag in, and I said I got called like 3 days after that. And he just said that him and his son both had a tag. So they turned his in, so they had time to focus on his son's tag.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they've had 2 tags before and had to eat the other one.
Gotcha.
And so, I think, I really feel like I want to believe that was the same guy that actually turned his tag in that I got with 2 points.
Wow.
Couldn't believe it.
Wow.
So
is that normally a unit that takes a lot more?
13 or 14 is kind of like some of the stuff I was looking at. And so I just throw in Hail Marys when it's time to apply.
Yeah. That's all you can do.
That's what you kind of have to do, I think.
Yeah.
But it's already application season.
No kidding.
I know.
I gotta
get my Arizona here soon.
Yep.
Figure out what I'm gonna do there for sure. But yeah, that's cool.
Do you use like a company to help you apply for out of state?
Oh, like Hunting Fool and stuff?
Yeah.
No, but I should because I have missed a couple deadlines. And now that I'm just running low on time, I really should. I think it's worth the money.
Yeah.
But I haven't up till now.
Depends, how many states you're putting in and all that. I mean, any states that you can lose points. And I've lost lots of points because of that.
Yeah, well, like if you miss one of Arizona's deadlines, then you lose your loyalty point, and they split it, so you got your elk and stuff early,
Right.
then you got your sheep and deer later.
Yeah.
Right.
And I missed my sheep and deer last year. I'd already did my Arizona one in my mind, and I just got busy in the summertime and forgot it. And so
you can't miss a single year. Like I think Nevada, or maybe it's Wyoming, you can miss a year and keep your points.
I think
but if
Arizona, you can miss a year. Don't quote me on this, but you might miss your loyalty point.
Yeah. I think you have to go 5 years in a row, and then they give you a loyalty point. Is that right?
I see. I don't know Arizona.
And
it's 5 years.
You keep that point for as long as you keep applying in a row, even if you spend them. And then if you have your hunter's ed point, then you'll have a
another
second point too. So you'll always have a 2-point floor.
If you take Arizona, in fact, I just saw it advertised. If you take their hunter ed course, you always will have a point going in, an extra point. Yeah. So that is kind of a cool thing to do, their online course. See, before it wasn't online. You had to go down there and do it. But now you can do it online.
I didn't know that.
I think that started last year.
Huh.
But I just got a thing, some type of something pop up, I think, on social media talking about it now available.
Cool.
And,
I always feared if I drew a point or a tag down there, I'd just go down there and scout at the same time as I take that course.
Yeah.
And then I'd have it, but now you can do it online. That's so easy.
There you go.
Why not, right?
Well, a lot of that started with COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Because, they weren't having classes and all
right.
that. So that's when I think it might have even been a couple years ago now. But I remember my buddy telling me about it. And I want to say initially the price was a lot higher than what it is now. I forget what it was. I don't want to quote the wrong thing, but yeah. So that's kind of a cool deal. Talking about non-residents and stuff, it's funny because I think like I've met some really great non-resident people, in Idaho. And then I've met some that I feel like, when I say they kind of had crappy attitudes, and what I think part of it is they were almost, because non-residents sometimes get a bad rap, or they're invading our spot. So it was almost like I think of a couple guys in particular. They were like on defense.
Yeah.
Okay, when I first started talking to them, but after you got to know them, they're great guys.
Yeah.
They were just like us, But initially, I think because no one wants to see anybody in their spots,
right?
But I didn't approach them as dick, for better words.
Yeah.
So, I was cool with them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's public property. They got a tag. I mean, what are you going to do?
We're all there for the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I'd rather work with them than against them.
Yeah.
So, like I said, once we got to talking and everything, I thought, man, these guys are pretty cool guys. So I think a lot of it could be the way it's approached.
Oh yeah, definitely. I got some good friends now that are from Washington that same thing happened to me. It was back in 2019. I just remember I killed a pretty decent buck back then with a rifle.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I ever told you the story, but I went up there. It was October 13th, and I thought, man, everyone's already going to have molested the spots that I wanted to go to. But at the last minute, I just kind of kicked all the stuff in my truck and ran up there. I got to camp at 11:30 at night or something like that. And it was just so cold. I couldn't believe it, but almost as cold as it is this morning. And I had my noisy Dodge and everything, and I just pulled into camp. And there was big wall tents and everything because there was, rifle season. So I pulled in there in the middle of the night, though, and I left my pickup running a lot because I'd kind of run out and I'd set up I had one of those Seek outside tents with the little wood stove in there.
Yeah.
So I'd run out there and I'd set it all up and everything, and I'd get back in the pickup and warm up for a minute, and then I'd set it back up. And so my pickup was running a lot. I was not even considering that I was probably aggravating anybody else near me, I was just trying to get set up so I can get in bed. And so I got all set up and I went to bed, and I was, asleep by 1 or whatever, and I was out of the tent. My stove went cold and I was out of the tent by 4:30 the next morning. And I went up on the mountain, and, I seen Kennetrek boot tracks going in, and I thought, oh man, these things are going to go everywhere I want to go. As soon as you see those kind of star pattern, And so I hunted around, and I kind of started doing some different things, and I ended up finding this buck midday, stretching his legs around 1 o'clock, and killed this nice buck, and I was bringing him out, and I got the first half of him down to camp that night, and the Washington guys come over actually it was like midnight when I got back to camp again, so the next morning I was going back for the second load, and they came out that morning when I was going back in about 8 o'clock in the morning to get that the last half. And they actually come over and talked to me and said hi and introduced themselves and asked what kind of deer I got because they'd been up there hunting for a few days and looking for one in particular. So I kind of described it, and they're like, man, I think that's the one I've been looking for. I'd like to see when you get down. So we visited for a minute, and I went up and got the rest, and I got him back down again later that afternoon or evening or something. And yeah, they seen it, and they were like, that's the one that we have pictures of. We were here for that deer. Like, they were from Washington scouting that deer, hunting that deer and everything. And they'd been there for 3 days. And the guy's son had actually shot a little bit smaller deer, in the same basin as me, like right before I shot mine. I heard his rifle go off.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And so, I actually thought they were shooting the buck I was drawn down on. And the buck I was aiming at didn't even flinch when that gun went off. And so I thought, man, it must be a different one. So, I got him out of there and everything. And they said, yeah, that's the one. And they weren't even upset about it. They were happy. They were just so supportive and happy. They brought me in, wanted to have drinks, and
that's cool.
Now we're good friends, and I go up there and they set up wall tents, and if I'm up there hunting by myself, I stay in their wall tent with them.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's just, so long story short, it's just, you can't really judge a person by their license plates,
Yeah.
Right.
Just or if they're in your spot.
Yeah, and so we're great friends now. We go camping together every summer with the families and stuff.
Cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they're good dudes.
Huh.
Never thought so, being from Washington.
Yeah.
I haven't really bumped
Nothing
into
against
anybody.
Washington people. Just, I guess, non-residents in general.
Yeah.
You just never know what you're going to...
It does seem like I've been seeing a lot more Washington plates.
Yeah, well, I remember, not putting down the Washington guys at all, but I remember a few years ago before they started the really fun December 1st deal.
Oh,
the way it is for non-residents. But
right.
I think it was a year or so before that, there was still tags left over, non-resident tags left over for elk, I'm talking.
Mm.
And the day the Washington results came out, they sold 2,500 non-resident tags because they realized they didn't draw over there, which I get. And you know what? fortunately, we're really fortunate to have the situation that we do as residents.
Right.
But if I wanted to hunt, I'd be the same way. So you can't really be mad at them because they want to hunt too.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully most of them are like-minded.
Yeah.
As far as coming out of state and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I have yet to run into somebody with a real crappy attitude from out of state. I hope that I don't, but
I know you hear about them, but like I said, I totally feel like a lot of it is they might kind of almost be on defense, and if you approach them right, and I've always tried to.
Yeah.
I've always tried to look at it as if I was in their shoes.
Yeah.
Like I says, we're all out here for the same thing, to have a
Yeah.
good time. And
Well, you see some of them parked, and you see some trucks that have their license plates pulled off of them.
oh yeah,
Right.
So you
Yeah.
know it for sure. I talked to a friend one time, and I told him, I think, because I was trying to like decoy my truck for a while after I killed that big bull, I was real scared about like everyone following me and stuff. I heard stories that it happens.
Sure, it
and
happens.
And maybe it could have happened, but I was like very careful about everything after that. And so I told this friend, I'm gonna go get some like California license plates or something and put on my truck for when I
There you
park it. He's like, yeah, if you want your tires slashed.
Right.
So,
It's a solid point too.
yeah, I can see why they take their plates off sometimes, but
That's funny.
you never know.
Right.
no. And in fact, the ones that I was talking about, they were from California, and like I said, they were cool guys.
Yeah.
Cool guys. So
Yeah, you just never know who you're going to meet up there. And some of my best friendships have been made on the mountain with non-residents and in places,
yeah,
So, yeah, you never know what you'll find as far as animals or who you meet.
yeah, for sure. Are you into birds at all? Hunting birds?
Not as much. We've got some on our place, and I thought about trying to lease that out for like bird hunts and things, but that's nothing I've really approached yet. But as far as myself, no, I don't really do a lot of bird hunting.
Busy.
Yeah, and I like to commit when it's not like elk and deer season. I like to commit my time to kind of like the honeydews and spending family time and stuff, so that when it's
That's
time,
good.
I can hit the road.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I kind of sacrifice bird stuff for that.
That's how I see it too.
So
For sure.
you gotta have to pick and choose, and if you don't care about birds as much, you just have
Pick
to
your
sacrifice
battles,
it.
for lack of better words.
Yeah, and so that's kind of why I've taken some years off of bear hunting for a while, but
Oh,
this year we might start again on that. But
Yeah.
yeah, so no birds for me as of right now,
yeah.
unless I get a sore leg and I don't feel like walking a mountain or something.
Yeah, exactly. I always figured I can save that stuff for when I'm too old to
Yeah,
get in the mountains anymore.
Yeah, you
and
get-
fishing too.
getting a duck boat instead.
Exactly. Exactly right.
I enjoy it all, but I try to do. But yeah, I have slacked off on fishing, especially, and some of the birds. I tried to do a little more duck hunting this year than I have in a few years, but yeah, it's all fun.
It is. There's just not enough time in the year.
So your probably priority as far as, I guess, your passion for big game, is it elk or deer or both?
Elk,
Antelope?
definitely.
Elk.
Yeah, elk, 100%. Deer's right there behind it, and then I really enjoy bear hunting, even though I haven't done it in a long time. But I would almost, for a while, I enjoyed bear hunting as much as I did deer hunting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just one of those things. It's the kids' birthdays in spring.
It's true.
In fact, I was up tending a bear bait the day before our son was born, our first kid, and so
Wow, that's ballsy.
it was a scheduled thing, and so she called.
Oh, okay.
She said she tried calling me, and she couldn't get me on the phone, and I was up there, and I was checking bear baits because this was May, and so I think we even hunted a little bit that night. I don't know if I told her we did or not. But nothing was coming in right away, and we had a wolverine hitting the barrel, so we're like, this is a dead bait now. So
Right.
we hit the road just in time to get the voicemail that she's headed to the hospital, and so we got there just in time.
Oh.
Yeah, we showed
nice.
up in our ugly old bear hunting rig that's we had all our stuff in, and so we left it in the parking lot of the hospital, thinking as soon as that kid hit the ground we'd be able to go back. No, it doesn't work like that.
I
Right.
can't imagine it would.
That was hilarious.
No, so yeah, my springtimes are pretty much committed now to other things.
Yeah.
But oh well, yeah, elk all the way now. So I try not to schedule any like out of country trips or anything like that during September either, because there's a lot of good hunts to do out of country also. But
Yeah.
they're in September, so
Yeah.
elk takes precedence
Right.
most of the time.
You put in for several states?
Yeah, Utah, Nevada, Colorado, Arizona is another one. New Mexico, I normally apply for the New Mexico one. I recently had a New Mexico elk tag that I was just so busy and I couldn't go on that one. So I ate that tag. But yeah, that's typically what I do. I don't really do anything in Wyoming. I don't know why. I just haven't, or Montana.
Have you put in for the ibex yet? New Mexico?
Yes, that's one I'd love to do.
Yeah.
But I'm careful not to apply for rattlesnake season because that's not one I want to deal with.
The January hunt.
Yeah, is that what I thought it was the October one.
January.
Is it?
October is when there's a lot of rattlesnakes.
I think it's just all year round. There's a lot of rattlesnakes.
Yeah, but
down there.
January's is like there's less.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I mean. So I was meaning October one is more, but it's an easier to draw hunt. Is that right?
Yeah, it is easier
Yeah.
to draw. If because no one wants to go to the rattlesnakes.
No, you can't step anywhere or put your hand up anywhere.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you see like 3 or 4 a day. I mean, maybe that's a low number. I don't know, but that's higher than I want to see.
3 or
No
4
kidding.
more than I want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daryl, rattlesnakes aren't your best friend. He's a little scared of them.
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for him. Let's say that. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
remember
love
trying to
guys.
shoot one time, and it was probably not much farther from me to John with a 22 and had a scope on him. So I'm just trying to eyeball it, and I never did hit it, but I pissed it off. And I never had a snake come after me.
Yeah.
But it was literally coming towards me after me, and that was.
Those things have tempers.
They do.
Yeah.
That one got away.
Yeah.
Most of the time they don't get away, but that one got away.
At some point, you got to realize, like, you got to cut bait and just get out of
Right.
there, let him go.
Yeah. The last one I think I ran into probably about 3 years ago, and I was going up this trail in a shaly spot, and after a bull, and this sucker, I heard and here he comes out, and he just kept going and going. It was big snake. I mean, I know he's well over 4 feet.
Uh-huh.
I got video of it, but and then I had to. He coiled up in a sagebrush, probably about 3 or 4 feet on the other side of the trail, and I thought he had coiled up, and I ended up seeing him in there. But I tried getting him to rattle, would not rattle, which is even scarier when they don't rattle.
Yeah, they call that dog days, don't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I went way around and kept going up the trail, but
Yeah.
and that one I let live, which. A lot of times I don't, I ain't gonna lie. I know some people let them live, but I figure there's plenty of them out there that do live. If I can get them before they get me.
Yeah.
Right.
There was one me and Dad found when I was a kid. I remember that we seen him up some. I don't know why. We just went hiking out in the brush. We're like, "There's a great big rock out there. Let's go hike up on it and see what it looks like." And we get up there on the side of it. There's a rattlesnake. So yeah, we thought we'd kill it with some rocks. Well, we didn't get it killed right away with some rocks, and he chased us up on a big rock, and we had to stay up there until we could finally find enough rocks to get this thing killed to get back down. Because it was kind of like on the edge of a cliff, and we had to get down this way, and that snake was right there.
Oh,
yeah, we made that one mad. Yeah, so
That's funny.
they definitely have some attitudes on them.
Oh, man.
I'm surprised we haven't ran into more during.
Antelope.
Yeah.
Well, I've killed several out there
Have you?
over the years, but it's been quite a while. That's
Okay.
always my biggest fear because we leave our blinds up,
That's
and
what I'm saying.
getting in there in the morning. I've always got my light going to see.
Me too. I
Make
lift
sure
up
there's
the
nothing-
corners and stuff because I'm
Right.
thinking it's cool enough now. They're not
Right.
going to be able to move much.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
never ran into
so
it yet,
far.
but
Well, camping out there in a tent or something like that, and it's chilly at night, and
Right.
you want to curl up next to you or
Yeah,
something,
that's
I always
watch
got
that.
I got a floor in mine.
Yeah.
Luckily, but
Yeah.
So you just kind of feel them underneath the top floor of your tent and kind
Right.
of rub it on here a little bit.
great. Now I'll be getting the ibby-jibbies next year.
Give us something to think about.
Right.
Probably one.
You're
I
welcome.
remember this has been in Colorado years ago. I was doing some stuff with Hunter Specialties over there, and we were staying in this old cabin, and it was kind of musty in that cabin. It wasn't used much. It was like the cowboy cabin that they used, but there was just enough light you could see. Like I had to go to the bathroom, and I stepped on something. It was slimy. It was a salamander, though.
Oh.
But in bare feet, a salamander at night just.
Yeah.
That'll wake you up.
Great.
Oh yeah, everybody woke up because I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, that's not a very common thing to run into right now. Is a salamander out there.
No, well, especially in the house,
Yeah,
but like I said, it was a really old cabin and
yeah.
kind of a cool place, but if they can get in and out, who
Yeah,
knows what else can.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
we used to find little snakes in our camper because they're just the mice would get in there. It's just one of those things you just couldn't seal up, and so you start finding little snakes in there. We're like, oh man, what is going on? Like they just get in all over the place.
There's people out there that would have burnt the camper down if they saw a snake.
Right.
Yeah. Well, when we were at our old house, we used to. There was a little short time because we're way out in the country. We had a mice problem, and my wife hates snakes so bad, and so I told her what we need to do is just catch some snakes and turn them loose under the house, and then get rid of all the mice for us because those bull snakes are fine.
Yeah.
Right.
And no, she did not go for that.
No?
The one day she thought I was going to turn a snake loose in the house to get like just one of those little bull snakes to get rid of the mice. She locked me out of the house. She wouldn't let me in there. I'm serious. She thought I was holding it, and she wouldn't let me in the dang house.
That's funny.
That is.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I'd forgotten about that.
So let's talk about, I know I mentioned to you about like memorable hunts. We were just talking about that earlier. What is probably one of your more?
The one that always comes to mind first would be the time I killed a really nice bull with my dad. And it was my second bull, and it was the first one that I'd called in on my own. Because I had a kind of an elk hunting mentor that took me, for the first year, he took me and kind of showed me the ropes and everything. And so the second year, I guess the second real year of elk hunting, I thought, I want to go out and kill one myself. I don't want to call it into myself, because he kind of taught me how to do that, because he always hunted by himself for so many years. And so I thought, I want to do that on my own, and I'd like to get like a nice 6-point with some whale tails, That's just what I really wanted. And so we went out, and I kind of had an idea found of where this one nice bull was going to be all year long. And so we went up there the day before opening day and got set up there right at evening, and the next morning, boom, there he was. He had like 20, maybe almost 30 cows in this herd. Just one really nice big bull, 10 in all of them. It was opening day, and he was rutting like crazy, the kind of thing you'd hope to see in the last day,
Yeah.
And so we let him bed down, and we dropped in off the peak into the basin where they were at, and just I just did everything like I knew. For some reason, I didn't really have any doubts that hunt. Like, so a lot of times you'll kind of be, you'll be on a stalk, you'll be going, should I go this way or that way? But, this time I just didn't have any doubts in my mind.
Went with your gut?
On that approach. I mean, everything was just kind of like clockwork, I just I wasn't really thinking that much about it. I kind of like just knew right what to do. So it was kind of cool how smooth it went. But I got in there to where I needed to be and had good lanes. And it was like an 8-minute call, and he came right in. And the whole time Dad was filming, and he was actually laying on his side on the ground with his camera propped up on his elbow here. Mm-hmm. So it was super stable.
I remember that footage, yeah.
Yeah.
It was good footage.
It was perfect. And so, that bull came right in. I just said the right thing, and he came right in and made a couple of good shots. I was able to stop him for a second shot, and I don't know if he quite got that part, but still it turned out great. And that's still my best bull to this date. So it's not just how big he is, but it was just cool that Dad was there and we on film. And
do you guys get a chance to hunt together quite a bit?
Yeah, typically I go, if not with him, I typically go alone. Uh-huh. So, but we usually go together. It's just, he's like 62 or 3 years old now. So, and he'll still beat the mountains, but.
Wait a minute now, let's back up. There's nothing wrong with being, I'll be 60 this year.
He just can't do it for like 5 days in a row anymore. Like, he's going to take a couple days off or go hard for a couple days and take a day off.
Hey, now, no, I'm kidding.
No, there's nothing wrong with a guy that's a little seasoned. But, no, he can still pound the mountains pretty good for being as seasoned as he is. Okay. So, we go together quite a bit.
That's awesome.
Good. Yeah. So, we go out of the country every now and then when we can. We've been to Africa a few times, and Canada once.
Mexico.
We went to New Mexico a couple times for elk, and then another time for barbs.
That's right. You guys did the Barbary. Yeah.
Yep. That was a lot of fun too. That's as close as you can get to bighorn sheep hunting without a bighorn sheep.
Bighorn sheep.
Yeah, without a tag or without doing it illegally. That's as close as you can get. It felt really good doing that. But he's pretty much the one I go with all the time.
That's cool. It's cool you got that, have all those memories. And
And the good thing about it is he's not going to tell anyone where we go.
Right.
This is true.
He did have a few drinks one night at a party and let one thing slip up. But I have to remind him about that. I scolded him pretty good because, I think my friend was kind of grilling him a little bit. Because he waited until he had a few drinks and he started asking him some questions.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's my main hunting partner.
It's good.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever got that drunk.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember one time telling a guy, and I know I hadn't been drinking as much as him, but I had been drinking. But this guy just would not let off. about taking him elk hunting. And towards the end of the night, he was slurring so bad, I thought, he's not going to remember. So I was like, yeah, I'll take you. Mm-hmm. Next day, he probably had a headache, and he's calling me up. When we got to go, And I ended up taking him, but yeah.
That's funny.
I try not to get to that point.
Yeah.
It happens.
It does.
It does happen, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I had to learn with the video thing to not show so much land.
Yeah.
At first, I wasn't very good at that.
You notice that guys do that after a while. Like you'll see, kind of like as they're kind of going around and panning the scenery and stuff, like the camera will kind of dip. Where it gets in the peaks and it goes back up.
Well, and then you start realizing that people aren't watching it. They're watching it to try and figure out where you're hunting.
But pausing everything.
Exactly.
I know, it just cracks me up.
The tag cut scene,
Exactly.
Everyone's pausing on the tags.
Right.
And I've never really paid enough attention or thought about that, trying to figure out what someone else hunts. And
yeah.
I've never paid attention to, I certainly never claimed to be the greatest hunter at all, by no means, but I've always thought, I'll go find my own spots.
Yeah.
And I'll put the time in, whatever I need to do. Yeah. To me, there would be nothing more embarrassing, actually, than running into somebody I know, knowing that they probably poached my spot, for lack of better words, because they saw something I did. I'd be embarrassed, personally.
Yeah. Well, I really started noticing it when I first started filming the shed hunting.
Gotcha.
And that's where, and then people would make comments and then you're like, oh, and then I'd get, hey, I think I found, I literally had this, I don't have that bull in here, but I found a really nice bull shed, and a kid a year later says, hey, I think I found the other side to that bull. So you knew he watched the video. Well, he sent me a pin, and it was right there.
Really?
It was in the same spot. Yeah. I'm like, okay, that's when I needed to decide.
Kind of makes you wonder if they're like just kind of fishing to see if that's where it is. If they're just kind of guessing. But
that's what I was worried about.
That was a unique horn, if I remember right, wasn't it? Was that the one with some palmation?
No.
Okay.
No. That was a different one.
Okay.
I thought I had it in here. I don't know where it's at. It must be upstairs. Oh, it's up. I think it's up above.
Christmas tree.
Yeah. But anyway, I was worried about that he was fishing, and he's like, hey, I'll send you a pin to where it's at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you don't have to do that, but if you want to, because I'm still thinking, well, maybe he doesn't know where I was at. I'll be damned.
Did you tell him it was? Did you tell him not even close?
I did. Yeah.
I mean, you hope.
Well, it's funny because I put it on my Onyx, and I always say my track so I know where I had walked before, so I don't walk the same line again. And I had to walk within 10 yards of that damn thing and didn't see it.
Oh, man.
But you would hope, and I bet, out of respect, you guys would just not share that stuff. You know what I mean? You share it on Beyond.
Agreed. Yeah. And he, and then I started watching his page a little bit, and he had buddies that he hunted. I always go by myself just for that reason, but he had buddies out there, so I'm sure they have hammered that spot a little more since then. But,
probably so, because they can kind of see what's being found in there.
Exactly.
That was part of the reason that I stopped filming as many of my hunts anymore, because I got kind of tired of trying to hide where I was at.
Right.
I mean, there was times I felt like maybe I should go drive up into the southern mountain range and do some like B-roll footage somewhere else, and just plug that in, because you don't want to have to do that because you don't want to like mislead everybody like that. But you don't really want anybody knowing where you're at either. So
no, 100%.
You can't really show all the landscape and scenery where you're at. Like, man, it's
kind of sad.
I got away from drone shots pretty quickly too.
Yeah, that happens.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I remember it has been that was 2001 because the year 9/11, and I shot a buck down by the river in the canyon, that archery only hunt, and it was a picture, no video footage or nothing like that, and a guy walked up to me. I know what bush you shot that buck by, where that picture is taken.
Yeah.
And just going on, and I'm like, good for you. I know exactly what. Not there anymore. So.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that like to hunt dead animals.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was paranoid when I shot that nice big bull that I was telling you about with Dad, and so.
Where was that at again?
Yeah, let me bring up the map. So I was so paranoid about sharing like anything, but I wanted to share all the pictures. But so we put that bull in Eastman's. I didn't even want to give Eastman's very much stuff because I thought that they could like get into the metadata and find out where it was pinged on GPS and everything. So
well, you just all you got to do is when you get of course now you can shut them off on your phone, but at one point it would show your actual coordinates where you took that picture.
Yeah.
So I've been adamant about coming home, screenshotting it.
Yeah, there's no original photo on Instagram or anything. Like I always screenshot it, but I was so paranoid and not smart enough to understand like digital stuff. Mm-hmm. So with that bull, I actually developed the pictures at Costco and then took them and put them on the desk and took pictures.
That's funny.
And so I was doing that for a while. That's why there's some pictures that just look terrible quality because that's probably what they are.
I went into the bathroom at Chick-fil-A and did mine.
There's some things you shouldn't do in the bathroom at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, that would be one of them.
No, yeah, I didn't realize that for years that people were getting coordinates. But here again, it's like, who digs that deep? Like, I got to go find it. I want to go to that spot.
Yeah.
They call it e-scouting.
Yeah, that's true. That's what they
you
call
never know. I mean, you never want to put anything past anybody what they're willing to do to try to find a good spot.
That's true. I'm not good at that because I just nothing I would think of. Daryl's always reminding me. Make sure you're taking a screenshot and posting that. Don't post the original. I'm like, 'cause I don't think about that crap.
Oh, yeah.
Here again, you just hope people are more ethical.
Yeah.
But they're not.
I'm probably a terrible person to go hunting with or scouting because, like, I'm probably always, like, harping at people. Don't put that in. I see him taking a picture, so I'm like, you better post that. Like, what are you thinking,
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just glad video cameras don't show,
coordinates and
stuff.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they do they?
No.
Why'd you mention that?
Dang it, Daryl.
Something else for you to be paranoid about, Casey.
So that's why I just started leaving the cameras at home.
There you go. That's funny. That's one way to solve that problem.
And pack gets a little heavier every year, so.
No kidding, huh?
Yeah.
That's true.
Camera equipment's heavy.
It is.
Well, trying to keep it, challenges, and my hat's off to, I know, like solo hunter guys, those guys, it's second nature to them now, but still, the time it takes to get it out and everything, you almost have to have your camera out on the tripod, carrying around.
You got to carry it already mounted like it's a spotting scope.
Right. Yeah, you do. And I always worry about something happening to it. When you got several $1,000s wrapped up in your, in your equipment, it's like, gosh, because out of nature, sometimes I'll drop my bow to glass or whatever.
Oh, yeah. If you see antler tips coming over the hill and you got your hands full, like, what do I drop, my bow or the camera?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And when you got like your shotgun mic on top of the camera that isn't as durable as, so yeah.
Sacrifices. How bad do you want it?
That's true. That's true. And a lot of times, several times I've had to apologize to John. He'd say, did you get something? Yeah. Did you get it on film? No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I did that.
But he's done the same, so I don't feel as bad.
I have. In fact, that pig hunt in California when I didn't hit record.
Oh, yeah. Well, but in your defense, I get it. Those things happen. I don't know if you remember that or not. He turned the camera on and forgot to hit record.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that happens all the time.
It was the money shot, though. It was a shot. It was. And but he's on it. He's on it all the way, thinking he's recording.
I thought I had the best footage. And shit, I start to look for it. It's like, no, it's not there.
I know the feeling. That's a bummer. That happened to us in Africa. So that's why one of the things I was so happy with that bull when Dad was filming it, how stable it was. Before all that, we had been in Africa that year, and we were on a little safari wedding combo thing. Not me and Dad getting married, obviously, but
Thank you for clarifying that.
It was the very first animal that I'd shot anywhere outside of Idaho. It was like our first animal of safari and everything, and it was a really nice red hartebeest. And he was filming, and I was on the gun, and as soon as I was going to shoot and the shot went off, he pulled the camera down, and so we missed the money shot. We're looking at his boots, and you could hear it's like, "Whoa, man, that's so cool!" We're like, "Yeah, but we're like your boots."
It's tough, especially with a gun. I was filming my son on a pig hunt, and the shot's gonna go off, but you're still it's like boom, you jump,
right?
Yeah,
without a tripod. I left a tripod.
Yeah, that happened to me this year. My Frank was filming for me I had a muzzleloader tag for mule deer again this year. I don't know why he did this, but this buck walks out, and he's only like 60 yards away, and he lets go. So, and he's filming. You can see the buck he's following a couple of does out from behind this tree, and just before he comes out, Frank lets go of the camera. Well, the head wasn't tight, so the camera just goes straight up in the air
slowly,
and so he's trying to watch through his binoculars, which, like I said, it's only 60 yards. It's, why are you doing that? But anyway, you see a snowy hillside and hear me shoot. It's like,
Yeah.
Money shot. It's hard though too. That's another thing. But if you're just filming, I mean, I've always tried to, as good as, not saying I'm perfect because I'm not, tried to just not even think about binoculars, because it's hard not to want to look, you know.
Exactly.
Is staying in that camera and just using the viewfinder to, but they're so dang small, you know.
I know.
That it's hard not to look up and whatnot.
Well, because you gotta see what's going on too. Because a lot of times the guy making the shot, he's not seeing exactly what's happening.
Exactly.
Sometimes they close their eyes or they don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
They
and
don't see
Frank's defense, I did miss a few shots before that, so he probably was
trying to help.
He probably was assuming I was going to miss again anyway.
Who cares? He's gonna miss.
Great.
Yeah, the joys of filming. But
I did on that pig hunt. I did turn my GoPro on.
Yes.
First time I ever used it, and I had it on my stabilizer because I was in California. You could have electronics. You know?
Yeah.
So it was on my stabilizer, and got the shot. But immediately I laid my bow down after I shot. I looked at my binoculars because I don't have to worry about filming it. John's filming it.
Right.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
It was a nice boar too.
I do. Yeah. That's my best one so far. I remember when we were going on that hunt, John, some of his footage previous was, it's not so much shaky as when the shot would go off, it's hard to stay on it. So I was like, okay, you're going to use a tripod this time the whole time.
Yeah.
And that kind of turned you around as far as seeing what a big difference it made using a tripod, correct?
It did, yeah. But, and then back then, we had these huge cameras, and we were filming off our shoulder and all that crap, and huge tripods, right? Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, so.
We've updated our equipment since then, and lighter, smaller.
Camera equipment's getting a lot lighter.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's
gonna be
I know.
Nice.
The camera I bought a little bit over a year ago. I can't believe how what a difference in the size of it, for one thing, how much smaller it is, and still have that top quality.
Right. Oh yeah, it's amazing what they're doing now with them. So it's getting tempting to start carrying them around again, maybe for me when we're filming.
Yeah, even my son, he lives in Wyoming, and he was filming deer hunt and a couple antelope hunts there, and he has this little. I'm gonna buy one. I think it's a little DJI camera, and it's got a microphone, wireless mic on it, and it is tiny. And I was just downloading the footage yesterday. That's why it's just fresh in my mind. And I was like, and it's on a gimbal, it has its own, and it is so smooth and so good. I was like,
I remember he showed it to me when he had it, but I hadn't seen no footage from it.
Yeah,
but it's good footage.
It's really good. Yeah,
I think I've seen those, and they're actually like similar price to a GoPro, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not that expensive. I was super impressed. In fact, I wish I'd have found it sooner, because he was filming with it when he shot the antelope here in Idaho this year, and as he was walking up to it, he was filming, and I was filming him, But I just found the footage last night from that thing, and man, it was so smooth.
And it stabilizes,
with him walking.
right?
Yeah. It's super cool. So I think I will invest in one of those. And the audio was not bad for,
and you can have a mic on you too.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's pretty good.
Not a bad idea. I'll do some looking at one of those.
Yeah. Now distance, if you're filming way out, probably not great.
Like a GoPro. You can almost put it in the categories of GoPro. It's good close.
I think it's better than a GoPro quality-wise.
It doesn't have the fisheye as bad.
Exactly. Yeah. And super smooth. Just the gimbal part of it. Any kind of close-up or B-roll footage, stuff like that, it was super awesome. Anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I remember I filmed a bear I shot with a bow back in 14 or 15. And it was 30 yards. And I looked back at the GoPro footage, and it looked like that thing was a mile away.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of unusable.
Exactly.
So I never did anything with it.
I actually, for when I'm hunting bears on the bait, I put I screw some GoPros into the trees like that are close to them and have a remote and start them.
That's a good idea.
And you get some
You've got
super
some really
awesome
cool stuff.
footage. Yeah, I had one. I thought he was going to eat it. He came. It's on my YouTube channel, but he came and he stood up on the tree and he's looking right at the GoPro and he breathes on it and it fogs it all up. I thought he was going to eat it, but he didn't. He just dropped down and went back to the can. And then I've got one I put right above the can, so it's looking straight down on them as they're eating. So I've got some kill shots that way too, which is super cool.
I wonder if you can take like some thumper arrows. So if you get one starting to mess with your camera that you don't want to kill, you can.
That's a good idea, honestly. I'll typically, if I know I'm not going to kill them, I'll just make a noise and chase them off. If they look like they're going to get close to my camera or whatever. But
yeah, you don't want like 80-pound bear eating your camera.
Exactly. Well, and I keep like these. I have 2 of them, and they are super. I think they're GoPro Pro 3s or 2, super old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even care about them. That's the ones that I use for that.
Oh, okay.
So if they do get wrecked, then whatever.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
Bears, they wreck everything. We had a little blonde bear get in our ground blind while we were gone. He just got in there and had a party. He tore that thing up.
Is that right?
I couldn't believe it. Yeah. He was just the most curious bear you've ever seen.
Seems like the younger ones are.
Yeah. That same one, actually, I don't know if I ever told you, we were sitting on the ground. We got to where we don't use tree stands anymore. And we just sit on the ground a little ways away from the bait. And I was sitting about 20 yards from the barrel, and Dad was another like 10, 15 yards behind me. And I could see this bear coming in from a distance and hear him popping limbs as he was circling the bait and scent checking it. So I kind of kept pointing at the direction where the bear was at so he'd kind of know. And he was back with the camera, and I had my bow in front of him. And all he had was a pistol that was next to him, but he kind of had it on his offside over here. And finally, that bear had kind of come around behind us, and I looked back this direction, and Dad was straight back behind me, and I look over and I see that bear kind of coming out of the trees, and he was walking right towards Dad, and there was snow on the ground, and so we're kind of like sitting down underneath the trees, kind of down. You kind of know how there's little coves or holes, kind of like underneath the trees where the snow banks are just not quite there, so we're kind of heading under the limbs. And this bear was walking up through the snow, and he didn't even know the bear was coming. I mean, he was looking at me, pointing and stuff like that. And finally, I got his attention, and I pointed at the bear, and all I could see was he had like one of them balaclavas on, where all you could see was his eyeballs.
Yeah.
And he looked over, and I seen him look over and see that bear coming at him, and like his eyes almost jumped out of his skull when he seen that bear, because it was like 10 feet away from him when he finally seen it, and it walked up to him. Like he said that bear was sniffing his boot, and it was that same little blonde bear that got in our blind and wrecked the thing. You're just so funny. Curious.
Yeah. It's incredible how quiet those bears can be, isn't it?
Man.
Yeah, for as big as they are, we got to really watch our stepping on sticks and stuff, and they step on that stuff, those pads, and just quiet.
That's awesome.
Tracking.
My daughter, one time, we were in a blind, we'd set a blind up, and I had sprayed scent like caramel or who knows, blueberry, whatever, around the bait. And I put all the bottles inside there. We were going to take them though. And she started spraying the blueberry or whatever it was in the blind.
Oh no.
And I thought, well, this blind's gone, and sure enough, I broke a couple poles. And,
right.
Oh man,
that's funny.
Yeah.
She was like 6 or 7, something like that.
Yeah, I didn't like this blind anyways.
Yeah, really.
That's funny.
Yeah. What's on your list for this year? Anything?
Man, hopefully just get out, go anywhere, just anything. I mean, have my stuff done to where I can leave. That's my main list.
Tile.
So no more procrastinating. But yeah, probably gonna try and do a lot more scouting this year. I don't know. I normally pick up an extra tag, but I never seem to have time to fill that second one. So maybe I'll put some more effort into doing that, or just maybe having a bigger hit list, a little bit longer one.
Nice.
Normally I'd find 1 or 2 things and kind of focus on that, but maybe spread out more, see some new country.
Yeah.
I mean, I think seeing some new country is going to be pretty important because of how populated the woods are getting.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy for a spot to get blown out now. So I think I got to have a little bit larger inventory of spots.
Yeah.
So that's probably the number one thing I need to focus on.
Yeah, I know we get comfortable, and I hunted my particular one elk spot for many, 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 many years. And then it's kind of sad, but it's life. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's public land and everything. When you start seeing more people where you used to not see anybody at all.
Yep.
Never anybody, and then all of a sudden a couple more and a couple more.
Yep.
So it is a good idea to
Oh yeah. Well,
another
then
spot.
you move to a new spot, and then all of a sudden you're stepping on somebody else's toes too.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so it's
And now
just-
you're that guy, huh?
Yeah, you're
yeah,
that, exactly.
And so you're displaced, just like the animals are at times with certain things, and
That's
so
true.
you don't really know where to go. But you got to just get out there and look and try and look for not signs of animals, but I kind of look for signs of people. And if I see lots of human
Traffic.
activity, that I just don't even really go.
Yeah.
So I just kind of always find the animals are where the people are not.
Yeah.
Right.
And I, for some reason, I think some people have that backwards. They're like, oh, there's a lot of people over there. That must be good hunting.
Right.
And that must be
Yeah.
where everything's at. And during rifle season, we went up one canyon this last year. My wife had a rifle elk tag. And we drove up this canyon. It's like a 4-mile long canyon to the back of it. Pretty rough road. It takes you like 40 minutes to drive to the back of it if you're not hauling ass. And coming out, because we went all the way to the end and then came back out, and I counted rigs on the way out, and there was like 54 rigs on the way out.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not even exaggerating.
Wow.
It was insane. Of course, like 3 of those trucks were the Washington guys that some of our friends, but
Oh.
still,
Right.
I mean, I couldn't believe the number of people. And there was one spot that I archery hunted there, and it's kind of like a pullout where it's like a 30 or 40 foot long pullout off the side of the road. And so obviously, you pull in there kind of long ways, you just pull over real quick and get out and go. And during archery season, there'd be like maybe one other truck there. Usually none. I was on the mountain one day and seen another non-resident truck pull in there where I was at. And they could see that I was hunting there. And I seen them from up on the mountain. I was watching them to see what they were doing around my pickup. They were looking at it and everything to see like if I was hunting or not. Then I could see them looking for my tracks. And then they like pointed like that's the way I went. And they actually went up the way I went. Like they were just trying to follow the direction I went. It looked like. So I'm thinking, why does people do that? And so I didn't see that many people other than that in this area. And there was some good elk activity in there. So I go back during raffle season, and there was 6 trucks parked in that same place.
Wow.
But what I thought was strange was instead of just the first guy when he gets there, like not pulling in long ways like I did when there's no one there, they all backed in like you'd be at a trailhead. They kind of pull in and back in so you can fit more trucks in there.
Oh.
And there was 6 or 7 trucks in this spot. And I told my wife, I'm like, we're not going up there. I don't even care if there's any elk up there that we see. And we're not, like, I don't know how many people are between us and those elk that we
Yeah.
see.
Right.
We're not going to go up there and hunt behind other people. And so this was first thing in the morning, and so we go up to the top of the canyon, turn around and run our way back out. And this is where the sun's hitting that hillside just right now. And I glassed it anyways because I kind of knew where the elk moved through there and everything. And yeah, we seen like 40 elk moving through there, and there was a couple bulls in there. And we could have probably hiked up there within about an hour and been in a shooting position. And I told her that it's a small 6-pointer, an okay 5-point, but I don't want to go up there in a rat race with people just for this one bull. So we watched him for a minute and then we left. And I had some friends that were up on top of the spine of that same mountain range. And he said that it was just like a stroll down, stroll in the park up there. Like there's just people everywhere up on the ridgeline. He said they met the outfitter up there. They met probably 10 or 12 guys up there on top of that ridge. And I said, well, was there anybody down like on the side of the mountain, like in the timber or anything? He said, no, we didn't see anybody down there. We didn't even see the elk. And I was like, there was 40 elk over there, and no one's seen it because everybody was up on top of the ridgeline just saying hi to each other,
Yeah.
Right.
And but I couldn't understand why so many trucks would stack on top of each other at the trailhead if they see even just like 2 or 3. Why would you go?
Go somewhere else. Yeah.
I was going to go sit at Waterhole this year, or I should say last fall. And I got there, and there was a truck there, and I'm thinking, gosh, what do I do? Do I walk in, or I don't want to step in theirs? But then I knew, I know I'm only going to go in maybe a mile, and I'm going to go set. I'm not going to be walking around. And then I heard them bugle, and they were going up a finger. I knew what ridge they were going to go up, so I knew I wouldn't be. But it still makes you think like, And then the next day, I ended up staying the night there at the trailhead, back of my rig. They pulled in, and then they left. And I was trying to stop them. I was just getting ready to leave. I was trying to stop them and let them know what I was doing, because I didn't care that they went hunting in there. Then I felt like a jerk because I'm thinking they probably came back and saw my rig there the day before thinking, this guy don't care,
Yeah.
But anyway,
if we see people at the trailhead, we always try to visit with them and
say
hi, we're over here, because everyone, you can kind of look out for each other. Someone could get hurt up there and you want to,
right.
You might need help, or they might need help, or...
It's the guys my nephew and a couple other guys were at by a trailhead were coming out from hunting in the morning, and somebody that I know as well, that one of my nephew knew him, but he didn't recognize my nephew, started telling him how he's been hunting in there with his dad since he was 10 years old and blah, 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 just making up all this stuff. I'm the one who told him about that spot back like 6 years ago or 5 years ago. But he made this Wild West story about, how he'd been hunting there since he was 10 years old. He's in his 40s now. And I'm thinking, man, that guy's really trying to keep people out.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened when I met those guys from Washington up there, because I was up there for the first time during the rifle season, because normally I always archery hunt in some of these areas, and I've never seen them. And we got to talking with these guys. I'm like, yeah, I've been hunting here off and on for since I was 10 years old. Before I was old enough to carry a weapon, I was up here with dad with a BB gun. And they're like, oh yeah, we've been up here for 19 years too. I'm like, we've never seen each other. Mm-hmm. And well, they were the rifle guys and I was the archery guy, and so we never really crossed paths until then. Yeah. But actually, some of the archery bulls that I had killed, they had already had trail camera pictures of. Oh. There was that 325 point that I took up that one year, and they were up there hunting that thing for the rifle season. They had me on their trail cameras and that bull. Yeah.
That's funny.
So it's just kind of funny how you never run into people, and you share that spot for so many years. And
never run into each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
right.
I don't know. I mean. Yeah, there's some good people out there,
There is.
But I don't know. I mean, I typically try to go where the people are not. I mean, but yeah, the trailheads, I don't know why. And it seems like a lot of times people will always hike past so many animals at the trailheads.
Oh, yeah. Trying to hurry. A lot of times they're trying to hurry to get back to where I don't know. And it's like, if you actually, I used to pack in about 3 miles. And I just kind of wanted that jump on them. But these people would burn it. And I'd see him back there pretty early sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I know a guy who shot one, probably a bull, like 6-point bull, probably he forgot his release and was actually going back to get his release. Maybe 200 yards from the trailhead where there's trucks parked. He ended up shooting one with his fingers,
wow.
At like 10 yards. But so it makes you wonder how much more...
Yeah.
And how many animals people are actually passing up just...
Well, they say with that elk and some of that stuff, you want to be either really early or really late. You don't want to be on time.
Yeah.
And so it's the guy that slept in until 9 or 10 in the morning that shoots the elk,
No kidding. Oh, that's funny.
But
I want to be that guy.
I seen that happen. I don't want to mess up and say the unit, but I was... I don't know, this was 2017, a while back. I don't know if you remember that 6x7 I killed.
Yeah.
A while back. So we had scouted this area the day before the rifle season. We had a limited rifle hunt, and we had a bunch of herds of elk found and went back to camp. It was like a 40-minute razor ride, and so we went back to camp. Get back there the next morning at 5 in the morning. There had been nobody there scouting this canyon at all. The night before opener, and so we thought, okay, this one we probably have to ourselves because everyone else is piled on top of each other in these other areas. And so we get back there and there's a truck in there. First thing, there was the truck at the mouth, and then you can kind of see where they rode their four-wheeler in a ways further and then parked it. And I thought, so we get in there on the razor. I mean, we'd rode for 40 minutes in the freezing cold in a razor with no cab to get here, and we're like, I don't want to. We see this four-wheeler on. We don't want to go in there now. It was still dark, and I elected to just go back to camp. I was not going to go in there and hunt behind this guy in the dark. I didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
So I had some other spots in my back pocket, and we went back to camp and kind of re-geared and gassed and went back up on the other side of this place and get to this other area, and there's already guys gutting out another elk in my other spot I was going to go to. So we go back to camp again, and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, well, let's just go back to the first area. And now it's daylight. We can see what's going on now and where these guys are at. So they took the trail all the way in, and I just kind of stopped there and jumped right up, just went straight up the mountain. And that trail was about 3 miles also. And they went all the way to the end, I could see. And I just went in maybe not even a mile, just most of the way to where I could kind of see things because they were walking in the bottom of this canyon below everything. And we just got up there and waited till dusk, and everything started coming out. Actually, they were coming out as we parked and actually was going up, and I seen them bringing out parts of a raghorn. Oh. And so I could see that they were done, and I talked to them for a minute, and they were nice father-son couple, and so they got one down, and they had him out of there. It looked like by the time that we were starting. So we went high, and they basically stayed low, and they had walked apparently past 2 different herds of elk that was above them on this ridge, on this really steep face. And so I posted up and shot that elk that night when he came out. Nice. And he kind of was mixed in some of the trees, but it's amazing. You could see it when you get up. You can kind of see how many people are walking past so many things just to try and hurry to the back.
Right.
Like I've seen people race on trailheads.
Oh yeah.
I can't even. I don't want to say the name of the canyon. We were up in this area.
Right.
Yeah, it was a new area. We went over there and met some friends, and we didn't even have any tags. We were just there to try and help pack one out or help call one in because we already tagged out that year. And we went in there this early in the morning before daylight, and there was it looked like a highway with everyone's headlamps going in there. You could see like 3 headlamps here and up the trailways, 3 headlamps here. Everyone was people were passing each other on the trail, like racing to get back in there. And
jeez.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, so it happens. I hate that. I turn around and go the other way, kind of like you.
Yeah. See, that was like 6 or 8 years ago. And luckily, hunting numbers is like coming down, right?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be as bad anymore.
Well, I know nothing against non-residents at all, but I know the way they have it spread out a little bit more, I think that's helped pressure certain areas get really pressured like it was.
Speaking of pressure, I've been meaning to ask you this because I've been thinking about it lately.
Uh-oh.
I got a bone to pick with you. No, I'm just kidding. What do you think about people bugling at night to locate elk?
So I can tell you this much. I remember this one situation. Me and a buddy, I had already killed a bull, and he had never killed an elk. And so we were driving a road, and there's some canyons off of there. And I says, let's just park and we're going to walk over here, And it was one of these kind of really high deserts, so it's patchy trees. Mm-hmm. So we walked over, and we finally got a place we're going to glass in a little bit. And it was like midday. So it wasn't like really early. I should say midday. It wasn't like 1-ish. It's probably just a little bit before noon. And anyway, I decided I'm going to call. Mm-hmm. And so I just did one of these calls up here, the mouth.
External call.
Yeah. So I gave a couple calls, and this bull answered. Mm-hmm. And me and my buddy are looking at each other. I'm like, shit, you didn't bring your bow, Mm-hmm. So we ran back to the truck, came back with the bow, and we end up about maybe 70 yards off of where we were initially. And that rock where we called from, it was a raghorn, 5-point. He was sniffing right around there where we called from.
Wow.
Okay. And I ended up calling him in, and he didn't get him, but unfortunately. But my point is, you get an elk, if you're doing that at night to try to locate him, it's going to work. You're probably going to get some response. But if they come over there and smell humans, to me, that's just educating them.
That's exactly what I thought, and that's kind of why I wanted to make this point. I mean, I don't know how many people are doing it or not, but I know that it does work, bugling at night.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that when we did our seminar, I know how easy it is to get rattled, rattling off tips and everything like that and things. And maybe we promoted it at once before and said it worked. But I'm kind of starting to, I know more people are promoting that now about bugling at night to locate elk. I've been seeing that more and more.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes you wonder if that is going to actually pressure elk more because it works so well. I mean, even during the day, but especially at night. I mean, they come right in. They can come right to where you're standing, and your smell is still going to be there long after you're gone.
I mean, I just think it's education. It's no different than turkey. Same thing with turkey hunting. Or in the South Hills, the unit we have here, people go up there and tell me about all the elk they call in. And granted, they don't have a tag most of the time, but they're educating those things there.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, I want to. The encounter I want with me calling is when it's real, right?
Yeah.
When it's business.
And that's and I'm guilty of that too. I mean, so years ago,
me too.
After I've tagged out, I'm like, man, I want to take my girlfriend or my wife, or I want to take my kid up here and I want to call an elk in so they can see it, or I just want to practice, Well, Well, you're educating elk for other people. And so, and I've seen lately that's happening more and more. Like guys who don't even have elk tags, they have rifle elk tags, or they have, they're up there scouting for deer, but they're calling in elk for camera footage or just for fun.
Yeah.
Well, it took me a long time to realize it, but you're just educating those elk, and it's making it harder for the next guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
or you, potentially you the next year.
Yeah. Maybe so you're horsing around with them and you blow them out into the next unit or something like that because you wanted some camera footage.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm guilty of all that too, same as bugling. I've done it, but I've seen how well it works. I mean, if you're not careful and you bugle one at night, I mean, he's going to be right in front of you. You're going to be standing there going, well, that's kind of shot for tomorrow now.
I guess, that particular elk, that scenario I was telling you about, I didn't realize how good they pinpointed until I saw him, because there was like a little ledge and then just a little face 8 feet or so. And that's where that rock is, and that's where we were sitting by glass, and I didn't want to be skylined, So we're sitting on glass from there, and that's when I called. That elk was in the trees, so we got out of there really quick, but he was right there. So they can pinpoint. Whole point is, they can pinpoint that good. And he was smelling around, and he was a little. When I first started calling him again before he came in, I could tell his demeanor was he was a little apprehensive.
That's exactly it. They're a little more cautious.
Yes,
and
they're cautious enough.
Yeah, we don't need any more of that. And I mean, they get so much pressure during the day, and so that's kind of what started making me wonder, like, I don't know. I've been hearing a lot of people talk like the numbers are down and here and there, and if there's more people harassing them at night when they're supposed to be actually breeding, then are we going to start seeing lower numbers because of that? And so, I mean, I'm the first to admit that I'm as guilty as anybody when it comes to like bugle them at night or messing with them at night just because you can, but just because you can, it kind of makes me wonder if you should.
Yeah.
And so that's something I would like to try and maybe we could figure out a way to start some kind of a movement to leave them alone at night movement or something. I don't know.
It's pretty easy. Leave them alone at night.
Yeah.
But it's like trying to get shed hunters to obey the rules. That's
and I mean, I know we've talked about this before, but I'm going to bring it up one more time. For those of you that are shed hunting this year, wait till the animals. Wait till the animals are done shedding and the winter's over. Where I mean, like, look, today's a perfect example.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's animals that have started dropping their horns now. It's -2 degrees. The last thing those animals need is for people to be running them around that are shed hunting, wanting their sheds, running those herds around when this is their most vulnerable time.
Yeah.
this time of year. So. Anyway, enough about that.
But yeah,
John's going to get me out there shed hunting this year. I don't care if I keep the sheds.
Yeah.
I just want to go because I need to get in shape.
Eventually, other states have rules against shed hunting until a certain date, and I mean Idaho's probably
not
sure to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of what's made me wonder. Like, I don't see how they'd enforce it, but I mean, if enough people are harassing animals at night too, I mean, eventually there's going to be some kind of a rule against that. I mean, obviously there's not going to be game wardens who want to wander in the hills at night catching people doing it.
Exactly.
So this has been years and years ago. I was over in California in August, and that's when they're, believe it or not, as it is, they're starting to breed then. And it was an elk refuge. And it's only like 1 square mile. I knew there was like 20 some bulls out there. I didn't know how many cows because I had a friend that worked there, and I went out there my cow call, and I made a couple cow calls, and bulls started lighting up. Well, one bull had, I think it was 5 or 6 cows. One bull had those cows. I felt so bad for what I started because that poor bull, his tongue was hanging out trying to keep all these others. You can imagine the odds. I felt bad. So anyway, it's not good to harass animals in general.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sure can be tempting if you've worked your butt off all day long and you haven't got any kind of bugles back, no responses. You're like, well, the sun's down.
Yeah.
Let me just see where they're at. I mean, it's tempting, but I don't know. It's something I was thinking about the other day. Yeah. And so when you called me and come in, I'm like, I should ask you about that.
Yeah.
So
that's my opinion, but I'm not always right about it. That's just my opinion.
No, I know a guy that he does that. I don't know if he doesn't do that anymore, but that's actually how he taught himself to talk to elk for a long time, was during June. He would, maybe we should cut this out. We don't want people bugling it.
No kidding, huh?
Strike that.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Cancel out.
Anyway, I know what you mean. They're out there trying to learn and stuff. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best way to learn, is to just get out there and do it and talk to them. But just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
At certain
It's
times.
true. Yeah.
But I don't know.
Anyway, well, we appreciate you coming. It's been a good fun.
Yeah.
Great chat.
It's been a
Yeah.
great one. Yeah,
A
I'm
lot of
glad I
fun.
made it over. It's been a lot of fun. And
Yeah, we'll have you on here again maybe after this next season, see how you did and whatnot.
maybe we have some good stories to tell, hopefully.
You got some good stories.
Fingers
so,
crossed.
Appreciate
Yeah.
your stories.
It took me all day to think those up, too, all morning on the way over here. Yeah. I'll have some time to cook up some new stories.
Right. Write some down.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Case. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no problem. Thank you guys, too.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was great. Like I said, great conversation. It was a lot of fun. Glad you
Good.
got on here. So
Yeah, me too.
it. All right, buddy. Thanks, John.
thank you.
Like and subscribe.
Appreciate you guys.
Yep. We'll talk to you again.
See ya.